Hey, hi, hello, my name is dis.cat. This is Project Hardcover, where we're letting books be the escape. Hi, everyone, and yep, I'm still wearing my Slytherin beanie, because, you know, hiss, mother effers. But, anywho, today I have my November wrap-up for you guys. And just, OMG, guys, just so many books I read this month, like, I really surprised myself. So yeah, I have a lot of books to go through, so I'm just gonna hurry up and get started. The first book that I tackled this month was Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Book 1, The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. As I've mentioned 80 billion times on this channel, I have been meaning to read the series for the longest time, and I finally got around to doing it this month, and I really liked the start of this series. This book is middle grade, so of course it does have the younger feel, but it wasn't distracting. I didn't feel wanting or anything as far as the material goes. It was really action-packed, it was fast-paced, it was really funny, and the mythology in this is just so cool and awesome and just, it was so great. I really just thoroughly enjoyed this. So yes, I really enjoyed this. I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars, and I am just really excited to continue on with this series because I can only see it getting better from here. And yeah, this was way better than the movie. The second book that I tackled in the month of November, I am still reeling over. It was so amazing, and I'm so glad that I finally read it, and it is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I have been getting flack about not reading this book for the longest time, so I'm just so grateful that all of that is finally over. And also, I just loved this book. I mean, I knew that I was going to, but I didn't understand just how much I was going to. It's just, people, if you have not read this book yet, take it from me. Don't wait anymore. Hurry up and read it, because just, oh my god, it is so fantastic. The characters are so real and relatable, and the things that they are going through are things that I think a lot of people don't put a lot of thought into. They seem like kind of trivial things that shouldn't be a big deal, but in actuality, they really are, and it's just, it was done so well, and the romance, of course, was so freaking adorable, and I've been hearing people talk about how they wish that this book never ended, how it just kept going and kept going, and I never really understood that. I mean, I love contemporary novels, but I've never read a contemporary novel that I wished didn't end. Usually they're, you know, when they're over, and it's a good ending. But I get what people were talking about. I wish that this went on just forever. I want to read about Levi and Kath until the day I die, because they are just so amazing. I loved this book. 5 out of 5 stars. Just, I still can't process how much I love this book. Next up, we have A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray, which is the first book in the Gemma Doyle trilogy. And much like the other books, I have been meaning to read this for the longest time. I knew girls in elementary school who were reading these books, but I was too busy being a Harry Potter fangirl to pay attention to other books, so I missed out. But I really liked this book. The writing, of course, was flawless because it is Miss Libba Bray, and we all know she cannot write a bad book. But the story was also just really interesting and really gripping and intriguing. And Gemma, oh my god, Gemma, she is an amazing character. This book takes place, I believe, in the late 1800s, during that kind of time period, and she is just such a awesome female character given the time period that she's written in. She's headstrong and determined and stubborn, and she's not afraid to go against all of the social bullcrap that girls had to go through at the time, and it's just so awesome to see that. And then the magic and the paranormal stuff that goes on in this book, I believe, is really unique and is really interesting, and I also loved the relationship between the girls in this book, even though sometimes it does get a little sketchy. It was just really, really good, and I'm just really excited to continue on with this series. I'm pretty sure I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm really glad that I finally got around to this, because it is just so great. The 4th book I read this month was Legend by Marie Lu, which is the first book in the Legend trilogy. I've been hearing people go on and on about this series since it came out, and I was just so excited to finally start this series. And it was really good. Action was really consistent. The characters were extremely likable, and the intrigue that was going on in this was really awesome, and all of the, evil, just ew government stuff was really cool. I really, really it was really good. Only qualm I have about this, if I have any, is that the romance kinda was a little quick, in my opinion, but it's just so cute and adorable, and I love Day and June, so I was able to look over it. It wasn't distracting, and it didn't take away anything from the book, so I really, really enjoyed this. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, I think, and I'm just super excited to continue because I think that these books are just gonna get so much better. Next up, we have Clockwork Prints by Cassandra Clare, which is the 2nd book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. I cannot explain how this series, man. I was just so afraid of trying to get into this series because I tried getting into the Mortal Instruments and the first book just really didn't do anything for me, so I was really afraid that I wasn't gonna like these books. But, oh my god, so not true. I love these books. I am so attached to these freaking characters now. It is ridiculous. And this book oh my god, so much happened. I can't really talk a lot about what happened, obviously, because spoilers and stuff. But, just this book and the stuff, I really need to read Clockwork Princess, because I just need to know what is gonna happen to these amazing freaking people. I need this story. Yes, I really enjoyed this. 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. I'm so happy that this series is as good as it is. I was so afraid, but I had nothing to be afraid of because this is freaking amazing. The last book that I had on my TBR for the month of November was Strega by Karen Monahan Fernandez. This was that ARC that I was supposed to read in October, but I didn't get around to, so I read it this month. And I read it, and yeah, I didn't like this one, which is a shame. I really, really wanted to. The premise of this was just really, really interesting and cool. This coven of witches that has existed for hundreds, if not thousands of years, fighting demons and having their own culture and stuff, and this girl, dealing with all of these mysteries surrounding it and coming into this world. It just sounded really interesting, and it had so much promise, and it just didn't happen. It moved so slowly. I mean, seriously, I got 100 pages in, and really nothing had happened yet. And it was just so infuriating. And also, the main character, I didn't even know her name until 50 pages in, and she was just very bland. She did not have any personality at all, and it was just it was really disappointing. I really wanted this to grip me and excite me, but it really didn't. So yeah, I really wanted to like this one, but it just didn't happen. The characters were very bland, and I couldn't connect with them at all. The story moved so painfully slowly. The descriptions, while very beautiful, were just way too long and way too frequent, and the info dumping, OMG. There were chapters upon chapters of straight info dumping. No dialogue, just one one lone person just talking, info dumping the entire time for chapter after chapter after chapter. It was just, it's such a shame. I wanted this to be so good, but it wasn't. At least not for me. And that was supposed to be all of the books that I read in November, but it wasn't. Yeah, I finished those books like hella quick, so I just had to, you know, find more books to read, and I did. So the next book that I picked up was The Iron Trial by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Magisterium series. And it seems like I'm going to go against the majority in this case, at least based on what I've seen, and say that I really liked this book. That's right, the vast majority of stuff I've seen people saying about this book has been really negative. They've all been saying how it's basically just a really bad ripoff of the Harry Potter series, and that is such a shame because, you know, number one, it's just not true, and number two, so what if there are similarities between this and Harry Potter? So what? It doesn't mean it's going to be a bad book. I mean, yes, some of the key elements are very similar. It takes place in a magical boarding school. There are three, you know, main protagonists, 2 boys and 1 girl. There is like an ultimate bad guy that they have to defeat. You know, basic stuff. Yes, it does have in common with the Harry Potter series. But that's it. The magic system is completely different. The thoughts and mindsets and, you know, like positions that these characters hold in the story is completely different. And the twist at the end of this book is freaking ridiculous. Now, I will admit, the beginning of this book was slow going. It was kind of a push to get through, but people, keep in mind, this is the first book in like a 7-book fantasy series. It does take a little bit of time to build up a world, so I kind of forgave it that, but trust me, like, the second half of this book totally makes up for the first half of this book, especially with that twist at the end. Just, I could not believe what my eyeballs were reading. It was freaking ridiculous. So yes, overall, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it, I think, a 4 out of 5 stars, and I am really, really super excited to get my hands on the rest of these, because I just think that this series is just going to just blow up. I think this series is just going to be so super awesome. I'm really, really excited for it. The next book that I tackled this month was Shadow and Bone, which is the first book in the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I've been hearing people talk about this series for the longest time, talking about this awesome Russian-esque world and this really cool fantasy element, and then the Darkling, just everyone talking about the Darkling. So I was super, super excited to finally start this series. And I really liked this book. First off, the writing is freaking gorgeous. Like, it is beautiful writing. Like, I would just stare at sentences sometimes because I was just like, how do you do something like that? Like, that is just freaking just, And then this whole world is just really, really cool. The magic system and just the complete layout and way that the world functions is super cool. And I'm also gonna go against the majority, at least as far as I've seen with this as well, and say I really liked the main character of this book. A lot of people don't like Alina. They think that she's weak and whiny, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, yes, in certain circumstances, she did seem really weak, but I don't think she's a weak character. I actually think that Alina is a very strong character. She just hasn't figured that out yet. But I definitely see her becoming this awesome tour de force in the books to come. So I am just really, really excited about the rest of these books. So yes, really, really enjoyed this. It was just really super cool, super fun, really awesome. I gave this, I think, a 4 out of 5 stars, and I really, really want to hurry up and get to the rest of these books, because again, I think that this series is just gonna go up, 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 up. The next book that I picked up in the month of November was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the first book in the Raven Cycle Quartet. I am still reeling about this book. This book was phenomenal. So basically, this book revolves around our main character, Blue, who comes from a family of psychics, but she herself is not psychic. She kind of acts like a psychic enhancer. Basically, whenever she's around, like, psychics, she makes their powers and premonitions, like, stand out so much more. And the story basically revolves around her and this group of 4 boys, known as the Raven Boys, who are following their brave and very quirky leader, Gansey, to find this tomb of this Welsh king. I think he's a king. And they're trying to use ley lines, which are kind of these supernatural energy type things. I'm not entirely sure. It's really weird, but it's so great. So basically, it's about her and these boys trying to find the supernatural king in order for him to grant them wishes and stuff. It's really weird, but it's so good. This book is so freaking interesting and gripping from the very first moment, and it does not stop. The characters are complex and interesting and have these awesome layers, and the way that they interact with each other is just so cool. The entire way that this whole novel plays out is so freaking cool, and the writing is so awesome. Again, there were just times when I was reading this book and I just had to stop and stare at a passage because I was just like, this is freaking ridiculous. How are you doing this word magic right now? It was just so good. I was really, really afraid of this series because so many people say that yes, it is a good series, but it's really difficult to get into. You know, it takes a while for the story to get interesting, and oh, I just completely disagree with that. This was completely intriguing and gripping the moment it started. And it's just, I am so excited to continue with this because just, it's so awesome. Pretty sure I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Just, I loved this. Like, I loved this. I'm still freaking out about it. That's right, people, we're still going. The next book that I read in the month of November was Rebel Heart by Moira Young, which is the second book in the Dustlands trilogy. I read Dustlands, I believe, in September, and even though the dialect writing and the stylistic choices made it difficult for me to get into the first book, I did really enjoy it, and I was super excited to hurry up and continue on with this. So I did, and just... this is a good series, people. And the awful thing is that I really haven't heard anyone, like, talk about this series, which is a shame, because it's really good. This book was definitely easier to get into. I was able to get into the swing of the dialect and the stylistic choices so much easier than I did the first time, and the story was still just as interesting and just as gripping and exciting, and oh man, did this story take some really surprising turns. It was just like, is this happening right now? Is this a thing that's happening? That happened? What? Just plot thickening. Just so much plot thickening. It was just, it was ridiculous. So, yes, totally, definitely enjoyed this. 5 out of 5 stars. Just, oh, people, read this series, pick up this series, it's so good. The next book that I read in November, that's right, we're still going, was Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I got this from my friend for my birthday this month. If you guys want to see all of the books that I got for my birthday, you can check out my birthday November book haul. I will leave the link to that down in the doobly-doo. But yes, I read this and just... it was so good. So basically, this is a contemporary novel about a girl who plans on spending the entire summer with her best friend, but all out of nowhere, her best friend kinda just goes away. doesn't tell her why, isn't answering any of her phone calls or any of her text messages, nothing. She just up and disappeared. And the only thing that this girl has left of her friend is this list that she left her. It's a list of things that her best friend wants her to do over the course of the summer. So the story is about this girl, Emily, trying to complete this list. This story was so freaking awesome. Like this is like the handbook of character development, and it was just so great. Just again, character development just all over the place, and it was so freaking adorable and amazing. It was everything contemporary is supposed to be. I have just been having the best luck with contemporary as of late, and I'm just loving it, loving it, loving it. I question all the time why I don't read it more often. Just, yes, this was awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. 5 out of 5 stars. This was just, people go get this. Go get it. Just, it's so great. And then finally, the last book that I read in the month of November was Raging Star by Moira Young. This is the 3rd and final book in the Dustlands trilogy. So yes, I also received this for my birthday, and I was so happy because, man, Rebel Heart, where it left off, was just, I needed to finish it. Like, I needed to know what happened, and just, I did, and I'm a little, I'm not quite sure. I mean, this book was really good. All of the action was there, the intrigue was there. Like, we got a major intrigue bomb, like, dropped on us in the second book, and it continued throughout this one, and it was super, super cool, and super awesome, and super interesting, and it was just really great to continue on with Saba, and Jack, and Lou, and Emmy, and everybody, and it was just super great. But I'm a little iffy about the ending. I mean, the ending was okay, but it wasn't super. It felt really rushed and really kind of anticlimactic for what it was supposed to be, and it just, I don't know, it was just kind of flat. But nonetheless, I really, really did enjoy this trilogy. I loved these characters, I loved this story, and I definitely recommend it to people. I'm pretty sure I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, so definitely people go out and read this. I don't think enough people are talking about this series, and I would super love to talk about it with people because it was really, really good. And that's it, people. Those are all of the books that I read in November. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I read that many books. Like, that is a lot of books, and this is November. I'm still in school, so yeah, I'm super happy with me. My December TBR will be up really, really soon, so keep your eyes open for that. As always, thanks you guys for watching. I will see you next time, and remember, books are the escape.